All right, so we're going to talk about trends today. So what is a trend? First off, a trend is just a sense of direction of the overall markets. So again, if you look at your larger trends, let's go to like a daily chart here. Go crude here. You can see overall, you can see these moving averages. They get pulled down with price relative to whatever time frames there. So you can see the overall trend of this is still, looks like it's starting to bottom here, but we're definitely in a downtrend still. So you can see once it traded up to 50 here, remember it opened here, traded as high as 51 and change, and that one candle, it closed all the way down at 46. So major volatility there, came back up, has come back, has not retested these lows. So if we see this break back above this moving average, we could start to see this thing start to continue higher here. So thought we were going to possibly have it today. If you look at today's price action, traded below the low of yesterday, traded above the high of yesterday, but currently we're near the lows of this. So this trend is still intact to the downside. So we got to watch that and see how this interacts with these lows, but it's headed back lower. You can see we're trading 85s now, so let's go look. So again, daily trend is down. We'll go to an hourly. Yeah, you can see exactly. Look where we got in here. Low on an hourly chart. You'll see how it interacts with right here, this 47.01. It's going to be the low there. On an hourly, or the next price breakdown. Your next level of resistance there. 30-minute. See the trend flattening here. So on a 30-minute, we just started a new 30-minute candle 1 minute ago. So we want to see on a 30-minute how it interacts with this high. We would anticipate a pullback into here and then a possible jump higher on a 30-minute. But this is a turn by pivot here on a 30-minute. $10-minute, 15. Sometimes Dave likes to look at 10 and 15-minute time frames. You can see here again, turn by here. Dave liked it at 15. This is where Dave kept saying this was going to be probably the low of those bands, the 15 there. And then here's our 5-minute. So for 5-minute, when we're talking about trends, what we're looking at is we're looking at the slopes of these moving averages as well. And you can see the purple is still down. The blue, we're still below that. So we're still in a downtrend against the 50. And then this right here, believe it or not, is the 50 on a 1 minute. So if you come down into a 1 minute here, you'll see here's the 50 there. You can see it's trading 54s. So if you go back to the 5-minute, you'll see that trading at 54s roughly. 45s, a little bit off. But this is roughly the same moving average. So what we're actually doing when we look at, like when we had that trade, we go back to this time frame, the 11:10 to 11:15 time frame here. We come into a 1 minute. Here was our rally that we caught. We saw it basically pull back to those moving averages, and then now we've seen it start to bounce off there. So 1 minute can be a good key. You can see if this holds the 50 on a 1, or this 10 on a 1, that could be a good indication. But if we were looking for another trade, we'd be looking back down here right around the 55s. So when we're looking at trends, we're comparing this peak to this peak, this low to this low, this low to this low, this high to this high. So you can see how we've got higher highs and higher lows on this. But we want to see a pullback on a 5-minute because that's going to be our primary chart here. So We'd like to see this thing come back into this range here. This old level of resistance is now going to be new support. So somewhere right in here in this range, the 54, you see this high here. See all these? That would be our current support level. So let's move that up. So if we were to draw a potential area of entry, it would be somewhere in this area. And what we would look for there is we'd look for it to come down into here, and then we'd look for a turn. You can see how this is kind of what we call high basing. So you can see right now this is currently on a 1 minute chart. This is acting as our support level. So if this breaks this level, it's going to come. You're going to start seeing it come back pretty good. You can see the fight going on here. Let's see if I've got one up. That's pretty common. This should have taken the S&P higher. So here's the S&P on that bounce there. Same move. See if crude's going to get some steam here. You want to see how it's going to interact with these highs. So when it breaks here, you're going to see this thing really start to ramp higher if it breaks. Notice how you heard Dave talk about relative strength. You can see how it's interacted. Let's see if crude's going to do it here. And when resistance breaks, you have all these sellers that were up here that were causing this to go down. So there could be a little bit of steam there, where this could fail. But you can see how we had this major push higher, and then we're just kind of what's called basing, just going sideways through this somewhat of a tight range here. So this would be our current range on the on oil. Against a 1 minute, we wouldn't want to trade this at this high. Remember, we're trading the pullback of a 5. So you can see how this is starting to kind of what they call coiling or work itself out over time. So 15 minutes, this hasn't really gone higher. We'll see this give us a pullback into this range. But now you can see our entry at this 28. We're trading 50 cents higher right now. 70 cents at the peak. And that's what we're looking to is to get, we were looking for this thing to get to right around the 70. Now, if we were to have a trade on here, we would have our stops below this low. We'd have our stops right there at 79, because if it takes out 79, it's going to cascade lower. So we just follow price with our current trends. Remember, this trend here is the 1 minute trend. So this is acting as support on a 1 minute, this 80. So that kind of starts snapping down a little bit. Now trends have momentum just like anything else. So you can see on a 5 minute, you can see we had a leg lower, higher, leg lower, major leg lower. It's coming down, and now that's when we start seeing trend reversals, is when the lows compared to the previous lows aren't as dramatic. So you're seeing all of this kind of a turning point here in the market. All through here. So we want to see this hold here and start testing near these highs. If this thing were to continue higher. But you're going to hit this moving average. That's really what's happening here. Is this price action hitting its head right here on this moving average. So you want to see how it interacts with that 04. If this breaks through this, it could be a major, you could see a major push higher. Just like you did when you saw a break here. Saw a major waterfall down. You see the same thing here. So moving average, again, just averages in price. And a lot of times they'll say the market will pull itself to the 50. So even though we were, this is coming lower, you can see how eventually it retraces back up to this level. So this is current resistance. So you can see it just took out that low there. We should start to see this come back. Should start to sell off. Sellers stepping back in. There we go. They're seeing it push lower. Like we did last week too, you can draw boxes. So you can see here's the low of this candle. See that push there. And we look for correlation changes in that trend. To confirm it. So you see how this is now testing the lows of current below the lows of previous. Again, we want to see kind of our entry box is going to be somewhere down here. If we take another trade, we want to see how it interacts and look for a turn somewhere in this range here. Normally what you'll look for too is the first sign of weakness in a trade. Is you can see you have this impulse here. This really is our first sign of weakness in this candle, because here not really weak, here not really weak, definitely weakness here. So we want to see this come back into this spot. Or let this moving average pull back up. Now again, we want to see how it's going to interact with this low. So if we take this line here, oops. If you go to 1 minute, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now this moving average is going to act as resistance. It's going to push it lower. Here's our current resistance level there. So we could see this come right back up into here and then curl over and scale down again. But ultimately, this is our current area that we're looking for a buy. We'll be back down in this range here. Now, could we have taken a short up here against a larger trend? We get that a lot where we knew that we were going to see some resistance. Could we have taken this short here? And as long as it's below this moving average, the answer would be yes, you can. But you've got to wait for some type of a trigger for that. And for us right now, the trigger is this green line. So we'd wait to see this thing come back down, preferably come up, and then break that. Similar to, you can see when it's here, it's all stayed below it, traded back above it, and then here it traded back below it. So this could have been a short. You can see this trade at the open here, closer 9:15-ish. We were thinking that we were getting a bounce. And this was going to break higher, back to the upside, and it failed. So we want to see how this interacts with this low here. Nice to see it 1 minute, because each one of those candles is a 1 minute candle. So you get a little bit more activity here. So one thing about crude too is if you go out here, let's go to a 5 minute just so you guys can see this. And I'm going to show some volume just so you guys can see number of contracts traded here. But if you come here you can see how right here at the news announcement, we had a lot of volume. Here was the open of the markets. We had pretty good volume. But if you'll notice, the other time of the day that you'll start to see volume come in, we'll go to yesterday. You can see right here, right around 1 o'clock, you can start to see this volume come in. And this is the close of the futures pit for oil. So that was yesterday. That was a dollar move right there. You can see from this low. So if you'd have been down here in this low here, back at these lows, that's 47.11. To the highs were 48.20 almost, 15. So you can see that's a $1 move coming in the end of the day there. So a lot of times what you can have is you'll have the volume in the mornings here, like we did here, and then middle of the day, not a lot, and then you see you get a big spike at the end of the day there. Same thing here. So you can see here's the open of the market, a little bit of volume midday, and then you saw this sell-off volume coming in at the end of the day. So really what we're looking for is how's this market going to set up to when those institutions are going to step back in here. Basically, right? Oops. I'll do vertical line. There. So how's the structure going to look coming into this close? Relative to our trends, we should probably see this thing come up and maybe into this range, and then we would anticipate a drop into the close. So that's really the trade. Here we'd seen this short here, and now you're starting to see a little bit of buying step in as this thing's gone higher. And this thing could very well continue to go higher here. Let's go look at the 1 minute. See how we're back up into that area and back up to those highs. So would this have been a turn buy there? For me, no, because I still have the parabolics above. I like to see when I get like right through here when the parabolics reverse, where you can see how it triggered here and then it re-triggered here and parabolics were below. That candle right there. Oops. You can see that candle right there. Broke back above. Parabolics were below. That's a great trade. Versus if we would have taken this here where it broke here. Not as strong. Versus there on the retest and the break. So crude's now running back up into this area here to see what's going to happen. Last time we were here, we had all these sellers. So I want to see if those guys are going to step back in. Normally you can look at the volume too and get a good indication. You can see a lot of selling through here, a lot of profit taking. A lot of that was caused with these big moves here. You can see how it's now pulling back. So again, we're still in this range. Pretty good volume here. See if this is going to push lower. Again, we're going to look for areas. So our area, again, is going to be, to go long would be somewhere down in here. Kind of what they refer to as a reset. Because right through here, this trade's occurred. We need to see it pull back and then reset and then give us another leg higher. Now, if we were in this trade, still, we would still be watching to see how this interacts with this high. When this breaks here, this thing is just it'll be another one of these types of candles. Again, waiting to see how it interacts with that 99. Push in here. Back to those highs. There we go. So you can see you're getting a big extended price action here. So where you're kicking yourself over this entry at 29, traded as high as 17s there. We could really start to see this thing ramp. And then the next level that it's headed to is right here. Now what we need to see in this candle here, 5 minute, we need to see it close above its midpoint. So 79 is the low, 21 is the high, midpoint of that candle is right here at that 70. So as long as this basically closes above this moving average, see this keep pushing higher here. This is where it gets disheartening because you go back here to the 1 minute. You can see we got stopped out. See how it's come right up to this moving average there and hit its head. You'll see that continue to push higher. Another big volume surge as it took out these highs. So this is the key level here. A lot of times the market will come back and retest that. Go to a 5 minute. Got to see a close. It's got to stay above there for the next 2 minutes. So we need to start seeing this. And what you're seeing now is just the breathing of the candle. Can't get sucked into the breathing of the candle. Again, look at the big volume surge here. Next candle, we got to see how it interacts with the high, as well as the 47.01. We want to see higher highs and higher lows, so we want to see this thing push this high right here. This is our next level, 21. So you can see higher highs, higher lows on each one of these candles. See how it interacts with this high here at 21. Again, midpoint of this candle is going to be right here at the 01 or 47. Watching how this interacts here. Again, current candle, higher low, lower high. Again, we still have 4 minutes left. Pushing higher. Remember, we got to see higher highs, higher lows in each of these candles. You can see again another squirt higher there. There you go. $29 is the current high. Again, this is where we're headed. We're headed to 45. So that would have been a 29 to 45. That would have been 1,200 point candle right there. Instead, we're sitting down 300 on oil. Give me a break. That's where trading gets frustrated, when you know what the market's going to do and you're just not able to capitalize on it. Just risk management, capital preservation. Now, the other side of it, too, is you want to see this candle preferably impulse, which is what it's doing. So what we care about when it impulses is we want to see a close above the high of the previous candle, just as a confirmation of that. So we'll be interested to see how this interacts with 47.20 coming into the next 3 minutes of this candle. Because what that tells us is we have some sellers up here if this stays below that. Starting to see some selling up here. Invisible. Two more minutes. Very bearish sign if this closes down here. Think about this. This is the high and low for the 5 minutes, and we're currently trading near the lows of those 5 minutes. So that tells us that we have a lot of selling up through here. A lot of orders up there pending, preferably right through there. We want to see those buyers work through those. So even though this volume's black, even though it's still black, all that's in reference to is just where the close of this candle is relative to the open. If you see here, go back to our 1 minute, you can see how we broke up into that zone and we've come all the way back. See that volume there on the drop. Still got 2 minutes left in this candle. We could see those buyers, see, because we had all these buyers right through here. So we could see some of those buyers step back in. But you can see how now this is a red candle. You'll notice the difference between this wick versus these wicks here. See how the wicks here are on the bottom and not on the top? This is a much more bearish sign. You can see down here where you had all these wicks, where it traded down, bounced. That's an indication that you have support when the wicks are at the bottom here. When wicks are at the top, you're indicating resistance. Wicks at the bottom, you're indicating support. So you can see when it broke below this candle here at 9:30, you had this major waterfall lower. Pretty good indication. A lot of selling there. You see all that selling there. So real important to see how this candle's going to interact. Could come back up in here and try to penetrate those levels again and see if it's going to be able to absorb all those sellers. But this is our key area here for this before it's probably going to go lower. Now, if we would have kept this trade on, where would we have taken this off? We probably would have taken it off somewhere up in this range. So we'd be looking at this. Could have possibly taken a trade on a 1 minute through here, just because we'd have been looking for, we would have been obviously profitable. So we could have looked for another trade back into this range at those lows that we already identified. But now we're real curious to see how this is going to interact with this high. It's trying to penetrate back up into those levels, try to absorb some of those sellers, see if it's able to do it. Support now is right here. Resistance is going to be right there. So this is our current range. And all trends are just levels of support and resistance. Creates kind of this ladder. And when levels break, they fall to other levels. So as this breaks here, it should pull back to these levels. A lot of selling up there. A lot of selling. Seeing how it interacts right here is going to be crucial. Now we're back into this lower range here. Could we get a bounce here? Yeah, just depends on what the buyer-seller ratios are. See how it interacts here? But ultimately, you can see we're back down into this range again. See how we exhausted? Now we're heading lower. Let's see what Larry's saying. I think he likes this as a potential long. Selling the European close was right call of the day. Takes them back here, half stop above 41.55 on runner. Needs to penetrate 15-minute close below 38 in the ES to call more downside correction. So he's saying that it needs to break this low here for it to move lower. So what type of an effect will that have on oil? We should start to see oil start to continue to keep moving lower. He's anticipating the S&P to go down. Didn't quite get to our box there where we thought this was going to sell off, but you can see how this here, not a very constructive pattern. We are right back at our 10, below our 50. This is an indication of weakness relative to this overall trend. This trend is still intact. This is just a retracement. We would anticipate this to leg lower. See if this can see if this level is going to hold here. All right. Do you have any questions? The answer is no, you would not want to get back in at some point. All right, no questions. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. We'll have this posted for you very, very shortly. You guys have a great day.